maybe this capture, you find out how many fucking crosswalks are on the picture.
Listen, I hate those, by the way, because they always slightly overlap into like and you can never tell if it's actually in that square or not.
So, that meme. You gotta go with that meme with what's his face like sweating.
Yeah.
And it's like that moment when you're like, is the traffic light moving into it? You know what I mean? Like. All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of Game Wild. It looks like it's episode 38 if I'm counting right. And guys, trust me when I say this, I don't always count right, but I think this is 38, so we're in a good spot.
Neither do I, so I think we have a problem.
And plus, we've had. Listen, this has been a crazy week. It's been very tumultuous in regards to.
Ooh, that's a vocab word.
Thank you. In regards to pre-orders, I am very saddened and hurt to have to say that Microsoft screwed up just as much as Sony did. I'm starting to believe that maybe it's not their fault and it's the retailer's fault.
Did you really believe anything different was going to happen though? Like they're both.
Well, I felt like we'd have less. I felt like with the Microsoft one, it would have been a little bit more coordinated. And even that wasn't the case because I know we're jumping a little bit ahead of the game because we haven't touched the question of the week, and I'm opening up with my sad news about Microsoft. But it's really just disappointing to see that it took Best Buy, it sounds like over 45 minutes to get the pre-orders actually up. So when 11 o'clock hit, Walmart and Target were the first ones. Then it was GameStop. Then it was, I believe, Amazon. And then from there, finally, Best Buy came through.
The way that you're explaining it, it sounds like you're explaining like a storm. Like, and at 11 o'clock, Walmart got hit. Next was Target, and then 11:45.
Like, but listen, but we'll get into that, and I'm opening with it. But before we do, let's thank everyone for joining us today. Make sure you're subscribing. Make sure you're giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or wherever your podcasts are sold. Make sure if you're watching us on YouTube that you're giving us a like, you're subscribing, ringing that bell, all that fun stuff. And now that we're past the disclaimers, let's get into the question of the week.
Yeah.
So it looks like you came up with this question, and it's pretty interesting. Have you ever received a video game system as a gift? If so, what was the first one you ever got? Also, what was the first console you ever bought with your own money? So the question of the week is actually the questions of the week because SJW can't follow the rules.
So I was concerned that, like, because I thought of this without asking you, so I was concerned that the answer would just be like, no.
Which is why it's not following protocol.
I was concerned that the answer was just going to be no, I haven't gotten one as a gift. And it's like, okay, well, then that was a short-lived question.
Number one, we've all probably gotten a system as a gift because when we were younger, we had to have gotten a video game system to kind of spur the passion we have for it. Mm-hmm. So I mean, if I had to say what was the first system, it was probably a Nintendo.
Now when I say gift, I don't mean like your parents bought it for themselves and you were 4 years old and you just so happened to like kind of inherit it because they'd never played it. Because that was what happened with me with an NES.
Oh really? Yeah. Okay, so no, I always just, it was me who drove the bus on those things.
Okay, so you actually got a gift. It was given to you and it was a regular Nintendo. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Yeah, because
okay, so Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16.
Those are all gifts, really?
Yeah, at some point in my life, yeah.
Damn, nobody likes me.
What else did I get? Sega CD, if you want to count that.
Sega CD, Jesus.
Yeah, I had a Sega CD.
Rip.
Dreamcast. Sony PlayStation 1.
Okay.
Trying to think if there's anything else. No. As far as it goes, it was a Nintendo 64
that you bought with your own money.
Right, but technically it was trade-in. So GameStop was running a situation where you could trade in like 20 PlayStation 1 games, and you get like a free Nintendo 64 or something. And I had like a massive collection of PlayStation games that I wasn't playing, so I was like, let's do it. So I ended up getting that, and I believe I had like Killer Instinct. I was able to get Killer Instinct with it or something, but that was my first purchase.
Killer Instinct.
Technically.
So
how about you?
All right, gift, and I'll never forget this because it was the
only one you ever got because of what you said.
Well, yeah, I think it's the only one that I ever got, actually, because like the other systems, like I'm pretty sure I got like a PlayStation, the original PlayStation, from like a friend or something. Like I like they just gave it to me, but it wasn't necessarily a gift. And then same thing with like NES.
You do know what a gift is, right?
Yeah.
Technically, what they did was they gave it to you.
No. I mean, like somebody actually bought it to you for like your birthday or Christmas, or whatever. Yeah. So and this was just like, hey, I found this, I don't want it anymore. So, and then an NES, my parents had, but they didn't really like. My dad would play Mario on it, I think, sometimes, but then I started playing it all the time when I was like 4 years old. So obviously, it just kind of became mine because I was always the one playing it. So as far as just legit gift, this is the only legit console gift I ever got was PlayStation 2. Yep, and PlayStation 2, because it was like there was so many games. That was like the glory days of like games, like AAA titles coming out. I also got, this is, I think, when did PlayStation 2 come out? I think I was 11 when PlayStation 2 came out. Does that sound right? 2001?
Somewhere around there, I want to say, yeah, because I believe PlayStation 1 was like 96.
Or like 2000, yeah, it was 2000, 2001. So I was either 10 or 11. So
we can fact check these things.
So 10 or 11, right, that's like, you know, I was an only child too, I'm not gonna lie, so I was spoiled.
Me too. October 26, 2000 was
2000. Okay, so it was going into 2001. Okay, so but around that age, I feel like is when your parents really get you like a lot for Christmas, or at least
PlayStation 1 was 94.
Wow, you were way off.
So not really, I said 96.
so I got a lot for Christmas that year, and I was like very much a kid still, so they got me a ton of kid stuff, and basically what I got was the beginning of my video game life and collection. It was everything that you could possibly want. It was PS2, it was multiple controllers, it was a charging dock, it was like, I think they got me like 15 games at the time, because I think games were $40 back then. So they got me so many games. They were all individually wrapped. I remember that. So everything that you could ever want. And then the first game that I ever bought, console I ever bought, was, do you want to guess?
See, so you were 11 in 2000?
Yeah, or 10, yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna have to go with an Xbox. No, because that'd be 2005. So
yeah, when did the 360 come out?
Yeah, the 360 came out in like 2006.
Okay, yeah, and it was slightly. Was it before or after the PS3?
Xbox 360 was right around that time, I believe. Let me just check. We're fact checking live on our podcast. just so December, so November 2005 for the Xbox 360.
Yep. Okay.
PlayStation 3 was 2006.
Wow, it's so weird to think that they were released so far apart, because now they've always been in conjunction with one another.
So it's very possible that you would have had enough income, because you would have been like 17 in 2006. So it's very likely, since you're such a PlayStation fanboy, that you bought a PlayStation 3.
So I did buy a PlayStation 3, but it was actually 360 was the first one.
I was close. I figured it was either it was around that time period. But
well, because it had come out first, and that was when Halo 2 was insane, and I loved Halo 2, so I was like, I need to get 360. I need to be playing Halo 2 on the system all the time. So basically my entire high school was my entire high school career was 360, Halo 2 up until 2 a.m., get 3 hours of sleep, go to class. So that was, and drink a lot of Mountain Dew.
The MD, yeah.
Oh yeah, and then also gained like 40 pounds because of it. But
so there you go, guys. That's what we have for the question of the week. If you want to answer that, you can actually join our Facebook group and start answering those questions on our Facebook group. And speaking of our Facebook group, we did a giveaway for the game Among Us, which is blowing up. And we did have a winner. That winner has received the prize. I will not speak. If you want to know who it was, join our Facebook group and you'll be able to see all that stuff. So we are trying to push more social media and things like that. So please do that. And thank you guys for everyone who entered. And the winner is very excited about it and looking forward to play it. SJW and I got to play it with a couple of friends last night. And Among Us is pretty fun if you have a group of people that will play. So,
for the first time. I can see why it's addicting, for sure, especially if you have a large group of people, a large group of friends that you're playing with. So, yeah.
Yep, you can play up to 10 people. We had about 7 to 8 consistently playing in the premise of the game, just so people know. And it's a $5 game on Steam right now, so it's not breaking the bank. You're on a spaceship and you're trying to find out who's the saboteur. And it can be fun because you basically get to an accusation point where people are pointing fingers at each other. And last night we had one player who was accusing people,
kicked off 2 people
to have the leader pick, and I was actually the saboteur in that matchup. And I ended up winning that battle because I was able to manipulate the person who was accusing other people.
Whoa. Was it manipulation, or did he just freak out and start accusing everybody?
No, no. He was freaking out and accusing everyone, but I was backing his play because I was a saboteur.
Yeah.
And the best part about it, I had been the saboteur 2 times in a row. This is my 3rd time. So I felt like I had the ability to be like, listen, I'm probably chances are I'm not the saboteur 3 times in a row, which I was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to kind of manipulate it. And then it came down to 3 people. And it was Jeff, our friend Alex, who's the one who was crawling for everyone to be ejected, and myself. And so basically, I just stayed in the room until I was able to kill one of them. So the premise of the game is you either sabotage the spaceship until while people are doing tasks, but if you can't stop the sabotage within 30 seconds and I think it's like 30-second countdown, you automatically win. If you are down to the last amount of players, like 3 players, if it's a 1-to-1 battle, you win. So if you get that last person before they're able to accuse you, you can win there. So I did win 1 sabotage, which was nice.
I won 1 technically because the ship blew up, but I think it was just because everybody
was like learning it and everything.
Whiffed,
So. And you and I were the saboteurs at one point. I think that was the game that I ended up winning.
That was, somebody
and you blew it. And
I didn't even blow it. I don't even know how I got guessed, but whatever.
I was trying to back your play, and it was just like whatever. So guys, fun game, good if you have a group of people, and guess what? We have a bunch of people. So join the Facebook group, get the game, say, hey, let's play. And if we have enough people who have time to play, you have a group of people who will jump on. If you're in the Facebook, you have our Discord. So that's what we used. We used my Discord channel, but once we start getting more people in Game Wild, we will have a general chat for those games and stuff like that. So there you go, everybody. That was Among Us. And now let's go back to what I started talking about earlier, the Microsoft pre-order fiasco. So, like I said, probably within the hour from 11 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you had problems. I was able to procure an Xbox from Amazon in record time, I felt like, because I had dealt with... I wanted Best Buy. Let me be full transparent. I was going to do Best Buy because I wanted to finance it.
We are not sponsored by Best Buy.
I am not sponsored by Best Buy. If anything, this is going to be a red mark against Best Buy, so it's definitely not sponsoring them. So, and this is why, right? And if you're on our Facebook group, you'd see it. I posted a video of me spamming, trying to check out in Best Buy for pretty much 30 seconds, and you could just see it. Sorry. And it's not just Best Buy; it's everyone. But Amazon, I got the oops message. I probably saw about 20 dogs because if you've never been on Amazon, if you get to a link that doesn't exist or is broken, they show you a dog that someone owns in Amazon as an employee. So I probably saw about half of the dogs that are owned by employees at Amazon. And then finally the pre-order page came up. Actually got into my cart and got it ordered within a minute. Okay, probably less than a minute, which, to be honest with you, is the fastest I've ever done. Even with, so with that being said, I received a message last night from Amazon saying that there's a possibility my pre-order might not make it in time, which I find to be pretty much BS. But they also sent this message with the PlayStation 5, and both companies are stating that they are making more to meet demand for day one. So with that being said, I highly doubt, unless they're blowing smoke up our butts.
I think Amazon's taking the opportunity to be like, okay, well, we know all the shit hit the fan with both of these systems, so let's just send this email so we have our asses covered in the event that something does happen. And now they're absolved. Like, Amazon's absolved of any problems, essentially, now. Like, if they can't deliver on time, they're fine. Well,
yeah, no, they're not. That's the thing, right? Sending a message saying, listen, I'm sorry, but I did not receive a message from Walmart. And Walmart, I got the pre-order for the PlayStation 5.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Well, think about it, though. I guarantee Amazon has at least double the amount of orders that somewhere like Walmart or Target has. I guarantee it. Well, everybody uses Amazon.
But my point being is that Amazon's built for this, though.
Okay. All right. So there's an article, and I used to work in the trucking industry, and my father actually sent me this article the other day. So this is why I think Amazon's using them as a scapegoat. They're using PlayStation and Microsoft problems as a scapegoat. There was an article released that Amazon is actually having a very big problem right now with truck drivers. They don't have enough drivers to drive the trucks to deliver their packages. And I mean like the big Mack trucks, like the 18-wheelers, not the dinky little vans
not
that
the little
the
vans,
packages.
right?
Yeah. So, and the 18-wheelers are the ones that matter. So, with that said, they have to turn back to people like UPS and FedEx, which they severed ties with to start their own trucking network that they did a few years back. So, if they know that that's going to be a problem this year, I guarantee that's exactly what this is. It's a PR move so that now they're absolved from having to deliver those very specific packages that you know as well as I do are probably going to be a majority or a bulk of the actual orders on Amazon this Christmas, PlayStation and Xbox stuff. So I think it's a scapegoat thing.
Can I tell you that I think I have a different take on this? And absolutely I think not. It's actually... I believe now this is like next level thinking that I'm in 2020 when I should be in 2035. That kind of level of thinking.
Oh boy.
And if somebody did this, and this is true, it is genius. Okay? What if Amazon did this not to protect their neck, but to try and get scalpers to release their pre-orders? Now, let me tell you why I say that. If you actually received one of these emails, it specifically states at the bottom, if you are concerned or are unhappy with the fact that you may not receive your product on time, please cancel your order, or you can cancel your order.
Ooh.
So, because think about it, right? What's the biggest thing that these scalpers and these people who botted these things trying to do? They're trying to sell these things on day one. If I'm someone who's like, I need to get a PlayStation or an Xbox on day one, and I'm like, I can't get one at my retail store, so I'm going to go to eBay. I'm going to pay an exorbitant amount of money to get it, but these people are guaranteeing day one pre-orders. If these scalpers, these people who go in and bots, are taking the risk of pre-selling their stuff, because that's what they're doing. If you look on eBay, they're selling the pre-order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and unless it's specified, and I haven't looked and dug too much into any of the people who are scalping these things, but most of them say like that it's a pre-order for day one. So if you're a scalper and you bought and you were able to get a bunch on Amazon.
Yeah, and now they're saying that they're not going to get them first day. Then you might just
Possibly. You're taking a risk.
That's really. I don't know if Amazon would go ahead and care that much. Like, I don't think Amazon has to care about people selling their stuff from. Like, what do they care?
Yeah, but they care because of all the other retail companies that are having these issues. And how do you stop this? How do you protect yourself from this when they can't even figure out a way to stop friggin' bots from attacking shopping carts?
I think that's what they care about is bots, but I think that they have.
Well, they didn't protect themselves, nor did any other company.
Actually,
and you think by now, being 2020, that we would have this ability to put maybe, I don't know, what do we do to stop bots right now? We put these dumb captchas in. Maybe we put a captcha in when you're trying to order these things to stop people from botting.
So, okay, actually, so this brings up an interesting topic that I think I saw on Snapchat and IGN, and I think this is hysterical. So my question to you is going to be, who do you think did worse right now with the whole pre-order thing, PlayStation or Xbox?
Honestly, I think they both are pretty on par with each other, but at least you knew what time you were getting into the shit with Xbox. You know what I mean? So I'll give them credit on that. Where PlayStation, it was like, put your ear to the ground, guys.
Luck. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I agree. That's what we had to do.
I think Microsoft tried to go the right way about everything, and I give them credit for that. So I do think Microsoft has the edge as far as that's concerned. But I think after all the dust settled, it was equal, right? Like they both.
Yeah.
They both. It
was 100%. So
well, hold on. So I have a point to make.
Go ahead.
So here's the thing with the whole bots. Bots, as you know, work very particularly. They, a lot of them have a certain algorithm that they follow. They're looking for the exact time that the product is going live, and then it goes to the website. It hits the purchase button. It does its thing, right? So there are ways that you can mess with that, especially if, let's say, it doesn't go live. Like you said, I think it was Target or something, or Best Buy that couldn't get it up for 45 minutes. So, maybe with Best Buy, if somebody was botting Best Buy, that would be a problem that it came up 45 minutes later. But
no, because it was coming soon. It wasn't DDoSed.
Okay, all right, maybe. So I don't know. I mean, listen, all the bots work differently, so I'm sure some of them still did perfectly fine. But now here's the thing. So Xbox's and Microsoft's nomenclature is shitty. Apparently, the same day that the Xbox Series X came out, the Xbox One X orders went through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
So I wonder why that is. So you have a bunch of parents that have no clue anything about video games that just bought their kids an Xbox One X for Christmas thinking that it's the Xbox Series X. And a good point that they made was that it also messes with bots. Some bots might have screwed up and also ordered the One X. So, I mean, I'm not going to lie because I've made the same mistake, but I actually haven't really thought too much into it until now. When you think about it, that's a really stupid naming system for the Xbox. How are you going to release an Xbox One X and then Xbox Series X? Like, it's almost like they did it purposely just to inflate their sales of One X. I don't think they actually did that, but like, really? So, when I say inflated the sales, they inflated, like, they said something like 720,000. Like, there was 720,000 One X sales the same day that it released, which obviously nobody's buying that right now because the new system's coming out. So, I think that's hysterical. So I'm curious to see how everybody deals with that. And if we're going to get a bunch of returns, if people are just going to get pissed off at Microsoft because they bought the wrong system, even though technically it's their fault, not Microsoft's. You know how people are. Listen, people are going to get pissed at Microsoft.
Listen, can I just say this and state it plainly and factually? I have a friend, and you do too, who has a member in the family who works at Microsoft, and they couldn't even get one because the store was down and continued to be down. So they couldn't even handle the traffic that was going to the Microsoft store, for God's sake. So it just goes to show you that no one was truly ready for the amount of people who are going to clamor to this thing.
Either system, yeah.
But think about it like this. This was basically like Black Friday virtually in some respects. Like, everyone was going after the same product. And let me tell you something. I'm no genius, but I do work in the IT world, and I don't think it would have been very hard for Amazon Best Buy, all these places to put a CAPTCHA in at checkout. Even if it was just for that time period.
Like when you went to check out, there was no CAPTCHAs?
No, you just had to, like, in some places you put your CVV code in. In some places you just go through your process as long as your stuff is ready. Like Walmart, you had to put your CVC code in. Or
yeah, but
whatever
that's
CVV
a
code.
static field though, so it doesn't.
Right, but here's the thing. Built just like you said, bots are built on a specific architecture. If these guys don't know it's coming, and and they implement a CAPTCHA, you would have eliminated bots from the picture altogether.
I guess I'm just stupid. I assumed CAPTCHAs were a thing. Like I literally assumed that they were doing CAPTCHAs.
Guys, and the reason why he assumes that is because SJW took no time to try to buy one of these systems, which is totally disappointing. But this, to the same point and to the same aspect of it all, is like, how hard could this be? And even Newegg was just like, in Newegg I talk about because of the fact of if you guys are into the PC gaming world, the RT 3080s came out, and
those also,
well, you can't get one because there was a huge mass hysteria for these cards, and people bought them, and probably bots, and they came out and said, we really can't do anything about the bots. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You add a CAPTCHA to checkout, okay, and you just do it. And even if you can't target the CAPTCHA, and what I mean by that is, say you can't put a CAPTCHA on specific items, it has to be all or nothing, so anybody who checks out has a CAPTCHA. Well, guess what? Put a CAPTCHA in for the time period that you're selling an item that could possibly take down your entire freaking infrastructure, okay? And then remove it once everything has been fulfilled. 100%. And then on top of it, like, well, that'll only work once. Well, guess what, guys? There are hundreds of different ways to set up CAPTCHAs. So maybe this CAPTCHA, you do the letters. Maybe this CAPTCHA, you find out how many fucking crosswalks are on the picture.
Hey, listen, I hate those, by the way, because they always slightly overlap into like and you can never tell if it's actually in that square or not. So,
that meme. You got to go with that meme with what's his face, like sweating.
Yeah,
it's like that moment when you're like, is the traffic light moving into it? You know what I mean? Like, but this is my point, right? It needs to
that should have been a no-brainer there.
People like and like I said, I'm not a genius, but I think that would have been my question. If I'm like Microsoft and I saw what happened with the PlayStation, I would be going to the retail companies and be like, listen, I'll give you the architecture. We have like genius coders in the group that can help out with this. We have people who
require it. Because Amazon probably doesn't care if a bot buys a bunch of systems because, hey, they just made a bunch of money. But Sony and Microsoft will.
Yeah, but I'm sure even like Best Buy and other companies probably care a little bit too, just because they need to
have stock.
These things were going to be sold. Mm-hmm. This is the problem that we have with this, and we see all the time. These systems were going to sell. So they shouldn't worry about bots. They should just worry about the fact that people should be able to get them normally.
Well,
and by doing that, you do that. If they're gonna give you a CAPTCHA so you can send in a freaking request to them about what you didn't like or liked about something, maybe you put a CAPTCHA in so people who really want something can get it instead of scalpers being able to get all of the systems or the majority of the systems to sell at exorbitant prices.
Well, let's pivot real quick to similar. I know we've been rambling about this. It has to do with Xbox, but another topic in the news, which also I think very purposely was announced during the pre-orders, and all this stuff going on, probably to get an influx of orders. Microsoft bought Bethesda. If you haven't already heard that, well, now you are. It did happen last week. It was for $7.5 billion, and
that's with a B.
With a B, and that it does a lot for Xbox. I know with the Game Pass, obviously, is the first thing that comes to everybody's mind. This instantaneously increases the value of Game Pass. It instantaneously makes it better. So definitely a good move on the part of Microsoft. But here's my whole thing with this is I get a lot of things with this, but I feel like Microsoft had to do this. I feel like Microsoft actually had to make a move like this in order to really push that, okay, Game Pass is the route that we are going. Game Pass is how we want Xbox to work in the future, and we're going to show you that we're invested in this by buying Bethesda. And
no, I agree.
yeah, so I agree with them buying Bethesda. Now here's the thing though, in the short term, which again, Game Pass seems right now to very much be a long-term goal and a long-term plan. Short term, this does almost nothing other than increase the value of Game Pass a little bit because you're getting a few more games, which in all reality isn't. I mean, these games are on every single system, anyways.
Well, let's talk about see, that's great that you just said that because that's not going to be the case anymore, right? So
okay, that's what I wanted to talk. What games do you honestly think they would make exclusive from Bethesda on Xbox after everything's said and done?
They said that this is going to happen, so we don't know what.
They said it's going to be new IP. There's no way in hell that Doom or any of these no way. Elder Scrolls, there's no way Elder Scrolls or Doom or any of those games are going to be exclusive.
Let's talk about it for a second. Okay, let's talk this through. Square Enix. Let's go to Sony's bread and butter, right? Final Fantasy Remake. Right now, currently exclusive to the Sony PlayStation. I'm not saying that it will be exclusive forever, but it could be exclusive for a certain amount of time. And if you are a Game Pass member, and let's say, for the sake of argument, that you get Elder Scrolls 6
on
Xbox for a full year before anyone on PlayStation can touch it, well, that's a pretty good advantage. Because think about it. If we're going about video games have a shelf life, right? Mm-hmm. You have the people who are excited to play games, and there are huge amounts of people who play Elder Scrolls, who play Fallout, who play Doom. Those are probably the big three. Okay, they have other games that have been successful, but those are your big three, right? If I told you, and I'm a big fan of 2 out of those 3 games. I'm a fan of all of them, but but let's just say I have not been clamoring to get a Doom game in a long time, but a Fallout game, an Elder Scrolls game, I'm usually right on it. So for me to have the comfort, and by the way, Doom coming to Xbox Game Pass October 1st, it's one of those things where you have exclusivity for that time, and Microsoft has said, and probably because they just can't get out of it, who knows, that the Bethesda exclusives for the PlayStation 5 will be honored. So the games that they will come out on Xbox, but
there's still going to be timed exclusives for PlayStation.
It's going to be timed exclusive for PlayStation, but those are going to be the last ones they have.
If you read a portion of this article actually mentions too, which I 100% agree, the biggest reason why this is good for Microsoft is that, let's say they didn't do this and Bethesda releases a new Elder Scrolls, they would probably have to pay some sort of fee to get it on Game Pass. It's going to be an additional expense. So by buying Bethesda, it's more upfront. There's no additional expense or anything. So again, I think that's a smart decision as far as that's concerned. And then like you said, I do think it'll be a timed exclusive. But now, because of these games, so the other thing they also mentioned with them not having to pay a fee to get it on Game Pass is, well, now they get the revenue from these games. They own Bethesda. Yeah. So the more that these sell, the better. And one of the things Xbox has really pushed lately is, we don't care how you play, where you play, or what you're playing on. Just play. So there might be a timed exclusive, but if these are timed exclusives, I feel like it's going to be 30 to 90 days is going to be the timed exclusive, where you can get it early on Game Pass, but then it's going to release shortly after for everything else, because that's more revenue.
That could be it too. It could be it could go that route because they've done it in the past. They've released games a couple of days early if you're a Game Pass member before it came fully. So, I mean, it could also be that type of thing, like get an exclusive 2 weeks before the game's supposed to come out or whatever on all systems. People are really excited about the fact that with this purchase, it might invigorate Fallout New Vegas 2, which is the game. And apparently Phil Spencer came out and said that he is super excited about a bunch of unreleased game titles that Bethesda was working on. And for those who are really excited about Bethesda games, Fallout New Vegas, if you hadn't played it, was super fun.
So,
and For them to possibly release a second Fallout New Vegas,
that would be amazing. I'd be on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here is so generally speaking, I think this is a good long-term play for Microsoft. I still think this does not help them in console sales. So I think short-term this still really does nothing. But here's my concern with them buying Bethesda. It's the Halo effect, I'm going to call it, right? And we already saw Halo get delayed, but that's not even really what I'm getting at here. It's that ever since they bought the Halo franchise and took it from Bungie, Halo's been on a decline. And I think everybody can agree. I personally love Halo Guardians. I think it's the best Halo, the Halo 5. But universally, everybody seems to agree that it's just not quite what Halo 2 was. Halo 2 was kind of the peak, and then Halo 3 was pretty good, but then it started declining. And my concern is that, okay, now that Xbox has creative control over Bethesda, the actual quality of the games will decline. And I think that if you look at somebody like Sony and Square Enix, like you mentioned, one of the things I've always loved about the Sony Square Enix relationship, which is why I think Final Fantasy still continues to do so well, is they don't have creative control over Square Enix. They simply have a good working relationship. And I think that a lot of these companies like Amazon and Microsoft especially, they have this like monopoly mentality of like, we will buy everything and own everything. And it's like, nah, man, just work with people. Like, why can't you just work peacefully together? Instead, they gotta buy them for 7.5 billion. So, yep. I don't know. That's a little concerning. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe I hope they still make awesome games. I really do. But I just always get concerned when these companies get bought out because it's like, well, there's the end of Bethesda. Like, it got bought by Xbox, and who knows what's gonna happen now that they get driven into the corporate ground, you know? So, it's a little concerning, but I do think long-term it makes sense for Microsoft to do this.
Well, if you're concerned, be even more concerned because there are reports out there that Microsoft is not done with purchasing video game companies. So we don't know who's next, but there's a possibility that they could be buying a new company or another company. If I had to make a guess, if it's going to be a significant purchase again...
Activision Blizzard?
No,
that's owned by Riot though. Or,
no, I think that they're gonna try to get EA.
Oh yeah, well they already have EA on Game Pass, right?
Right, but that's my point. Is like they have a partnership with them. They're building something. It's possible, and EA's really trying to push a subscription-based thing too. That it might just make sense for them to come together. And if you read in the article too, this Game Pass system. Brings in annually about $1 billion a year. So
it makes bank right now. Yeah.
So if they continue to grow this, you could be looking at the possibility of that payback on Bethesda coming back in 5 years if they continue to grow with growth. If you factor in growth, they could possibly make that money back in 5 years.
So I mean, we might not even get to the third topic today because there's so much to talk about here. But I want to kind of wrap in the Amazon thing here because I think it shows a few different like company philosophies when it comes to gaming right now. So I just mentioned Square Enix and Sony. So Sony very clearly looks to be that their philosophy is not to buy people, it's to work in conjunction with them and create, whatever. So Microsoft is trying to buy them and, own everything about them and take all the revenue, yada, yada, yada. Amazon Luna Cloud has been announced, and apparently it's basically Google Stadia for Amazon. We all know how much we love Google Stadia.
Well, you know what's interesting, to stop on that for a second, if I can just... The thing that was interesting about this article and what it stated was it kind of wasn't like Stadia in the fact that it is different because it's almost like cable TV is how they put it. It's like buying cable channels that you can
it's Prime.
Play.
Do you have Prime Video?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Like that.
It's basically you have Prime Video, but for gaming now, and there's an Ubisoft channel, there's a Square Enix channel, there's a Bethesda channel. So, and they even said in the article it's going to be interesting how something like Bethesda, now owned by Microsoft, are you able to have a Bethesda channel on this device now? Or like how does Microsoft Game Studios work with something like Amazon? Now, I don't usually give Amazon credit. I'm not crazy about a lot of the business corporate decisions that Amazon makes, especially in the gaming space. But I like this because I like Prime Video. So Prime Video, you have something like HBO. HBO is so well known for some great shows, right? We all Game of Thrones, like there's so many high triple A shows on HBO that are really creative, really good. So with Amazon's Luna Cloud, that shows me that Amazon has the same philosophy similar to Sony, where they're not trying to own everything. They just want people to have access to it, and then they're taking a cut with the whole, we're going to take some of the subscription for whatever channel you buy, yada, yada, yada. So that means something like Bethesda could go on Luna Cloud. Everybody has more access to it, but Bethesda still has creative control over Bethesda. So I actually like Luna Cloud in general. I think it's a really good idea. I think it's good for gaming. But now I'm concerned if Microsoft or Sony, for that matter, if these companies keep buying game studios, it's like, is there even going to be anything on Luna Cloud? And then again, it just takes away from the creative content that these studios might be able to make.
I believe that there would still be stuff on Luna Cloud. I think because it comes down to some revenue too, right? So like as long as Microsoft said, yeah, you can have a Bethesda channel, and this is how much we want from the channel, because the way it looks is it's just like what you said with like, okay, so if you have Amazon and you have the Amazon channel, you can purchase within Amazon a subscription to HBO Plus or whatever, HBO Go.
And
whatever.
Amazon takes a cut for managing the subscription.
For managing that. So you could see a scenario where Microsoft's like, all right, for $4.99 or $5.99 a month, you can have access to the Bethesda channel. You can have all the Bethesda games, and Amazon takes a cut from that. So because you're not giving every title away, you're only giving some of the titles. So there'll still be an advantage to being a Game Pass member. It's just a matter of the fact that you have the ability now to get a couple of dollars you're.
It's just like you can.
So I don't think it's going to become a barren wasteland for Luna. I think Amazon has enough money behind them and is big enough to be able to work with somebody like Microsoft and Sony to make deals and say, listen, you have Insomniac games. It's always been a PlayStation only situation. We would like to see if we could have an Insomniac channel where we could have Ratchet and Clank, where we could have Spider-Man and all the other games and just go full bear with it. How much would you be willing to pay for us to stream that on our channel? And then they come up with a number. And to be honest with you, if I'm looking at this, for this to be reasonable for people to actually buy it, they have to be under $10 a channel. And I'm not talking $9.99. I'm talking like they have to be like at $5.99.
Well, and they're saying it might be like $15. So I don't.
Right. I don't think it's going to be viable at $15.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because you're not going to want to play multiple channels.
$4.99 a channel would be good.
Yeah, because you're looking at trying to get bulk. Because if you have 3 channels and you're paying $15 a month, it's not as bad as paying $15 for one channel and being locked into one game studio.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? So you have Amazon is basically saying, okay, we're just going to be this third-party person that's chilling, and everybody can come be on our service. Then you have PlayStation Now and you have Game Pass. And basically what those are saying is, yeah, in some way they have some exclusivity with like, okay, Insomniac games are going to be on PS Now and Bethesda games maybe are going to be on Game Pass if that's how that ends up working out. Although I think Bethesda is going to end up being on both. Who knows? But now it's interesting because you could charge more for PS Now and Game Pass because you're getting a more variable games. You're getting multiple studios as opposed to paying for one studio's channels on the Amazon service. So there are actually different uses for each, like different sort of game service now.
But you can't price yourself out of the market either. So just because you're giving a lot more, if you charge more, you might lose subscriptions. And I think and it's always been a numbers game, right? It's a numbers game with Netflix. It's a numbers game with all these companies where it's like, okay, we have X amount of views and X amount of subscribers. If you say we're going to raise our prices to this number, you're going to be removing a lot more. More people won't see value in it. The idea of Game Pass and the way that it's always been pushed is that there is value in getting that subscription, which currently there is value in it. And once you remove that value, it becomes more difficult to be like, well, now I'm going to go over to Amazon because these are the games I play. I can spend $30 a month. Let's say, just like for sake of it, that it gets so big that it becomes $30 a month for Game Pass. Well, if Amazon says $5, $6 per studio, that's like 4 or 5 studios that if you're really into, that's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you just got to keep the value there. And I think that's what Microsoft's going to try to do, because this is really what they're trying to push. And analytics are probably going to say that they can't go over $20 a month if they want to keep it where they're going.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, right? Because I feel like, so you could compare PlayStation Now and Game Pass to Netflix, right? And then you could compare Amazon Prime to this new service that they're offering for video games. It's the same thing. And it's going to be interesting, I think, and then you throw in like HBO Go, right? So HBO obviously has its own service for just HBO, just like EA has its own service for games, just like Epic has its own service for games. So you have these other single subscriptions to just that company, and obviously those do way worse than something like Amazon Prime or Netflix or so it's going to be interesting to see, out of all these new gaming things, Google Stadia is doing it one way, Amazon's doing it another way. PS Now and Game Pass are similar, but they're doing it another way as well. So it's going to be interesting to see which version people gravitate to more, and how they actually want to receive their games like that. And it is so crazy to think now we're talking about this, and before it was, I'm going to go to GameStop and buy a game on a CD and put it in my system. And now we're just like, well, do we subscribe to this or subscribe to this? And I still can't convince myself to not own things. Like, I hate the idea of everything in my life just being money coming out of my pocket and I don't own anything. Like, that's just me personally. But I know, that's where the world is headed. The world is headed towards a subscription-based service. Hell, we'll probably just have a subscription to our car with gas included. It's one of these days. We already have leases, so we'll see where the world heads with that kind of stuff. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Absolutely.
So I guess now we could go into this quick before we get into the games. I found this article basically, and listen, this has come up multiple times. I'm sure we'll talk about this again on the podcast. Is it game over for consoles is the question posed by this article. And essentially it gives a timeline of, when things were released, when things came out of fashion and into fashion. And, with everything we just discussed, is there a need for consoles anymore? Or is it just going to be streaming and using a PC? And I guess that goes hand in hand with, is a PC ever going to be obsolete? And I feel like it's a little bit easier to say no because we use PCs for so many different things. But in reality, systems are just a glorified computer, right? They operate differently.
That have a specific function and only that function.
So what do you think?
Based upon what we just went through the last 2 weeks, I'm gonna say no, because
the sales and stuff.
No, seriously, like if we went through the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X launch for pre-orders, and everyone got one easily, and there were still pre-orders within 24 hours, I would probably say, yeah, maybe it is trending down. But we have once again seen that we are a world of, we want new shiny things, and this both of these are shiny things. The PlayStation more shiny than the Xbox, but still, nonetheless, it's that mentality, right? And so I would have to go with the fact that I think that consoles aren't dead, and maybe one day they will be, but not anytime soon.
There's 2 points I want to make here. The first one is I'm interested to see the sales figures of these particular consoles, because in this article that we found, it said Sony released the PS2 in 2000. And it sold a record to date. The best-selling console ever in the history of consoles is 155 million consoles sold.
Yep.
PS4, which also outsold the Xbox, released in 2013, still managed to sell more than 110 million units, but you can see it did downtrend. There were less units sold. And the Xbox One launched in the same year, and it sold around 50 million units. So Xbox selling quite a lot less. But it's going to be interesting to see the numbers. And to that point, so Nintendo is my reason as to why consoles won't die. Nintendo, meanwhile, we're talking about PS5, Xbox Series X. Nintendo's just sitting in the corner like, we don't give a shit what you guys do. we're still going to sell our games. They're going to fly off the shelves, and people are going to like them. And it's like Nintendo has this equation. They have this formula figured out. And like when I think of needing a console, when I think of a Nintendo or a Switch, I think, well, I need the Switch to play Nintendo games. You can't play Nintendo games on a PC. You can't play Nintendo games on a PS4. You can't play Nintendo games on Xbox One. You know where you can play Nintendo games? On a Nintendo console. That's it. And somehow, through the year 2020, Nintendo has managed to continue that trend. And they're the only ones to have done that, whereas Xbox and PlayStation are starting to follow the rest of the market and head towards that streaming platform. So if there is a console that definitely sticks around, I think it's Nintendo. I think that PlayStation 5 and Xbox personally are going to go more towards the VR market eventually, but that might not be until the next generation.
Well, I think it all comes down to a couple things, right? Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Mascot. Identifiability. Like if I say Nintendo, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Mario and Donkey Kong and Zelda.
Right. So these types of games, these types of things, like my kid's starting to get into video games, and she's all about Mario right now and Sonic the Hedgehog, who happens to be Sega. But those are probably the two biggest mascots that came out of the video game world, right?
Yeah.
Is Sega and Sonic and Mario and Nintendo. Mario more than
and
Sonic
Sega dead, so I don't know how that happened. I don't know. Sonic is so big
because Sonic's super big, but the problem is that you talk about Nintendo, they have way more. You just name 3 identifiable characters. For Sega, you could probably only name 1, but you could continue to name people on Nintendo. You could go Samus, you could go, you know what I mean? Like you could just keep going on and on with them. But Mario is steadfast. Like I know 100% that this year for my daughter's birthday, she's going to get some Mario stuff because she's asking for it. And that's the other thing too, is they expand to other things like the Lego Mario. That thing's like
that
super
Mario
cool.
Kart thing that we saw looks insane.
Oh, the Mario Kart thing. I have
so
people,
cool.
I have feelers on that because like I couldn't get the pre-order, and I have someone who works at one of the stores, and if they get one, like if they have one for sale, they're getting it because it comes out literally 2 days before my daughter's birthday and 1 day before her party. So if I can get one for her, which is really going to be for me, but she'll want to play with it. So technically it's for her. She'll get it. And she's probably going to get a couple of Mario Lego set stuff too, which is pretty cool. But it's because she likes it and it's something that she enjoys. And I think that's why Nintendo will always have sustainability, because she'll be nostalgic for it when she's older. And if Nintendo's still around when she's older, she'll probably do that for her kids, etc., etc., etc.
Well, so if there's one system that's going to stick around, we think it's Nintendo. So yeah, with that said, Ruffhouse, take it away, my man.
Well, we have a deal this coming week.
A deal? Ruffhouse, are you slacking? What's going on, man?
No, it's just that's what's available. It's like that's what we found. And it's going to start October 1st. And it is a free game on Epic Store, as usual. Piku
Niku, it looks like.
Piku Niku, there you go. Help particular characters overcome struggles, uncover a deep state conspiracy, and start a fun little revolution in this delightful dystopian adventure. Free October 1st on the Epic Game Store.
Epic.
So there you go. And if you still forgot or didn't listen to last week, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Ultimate Edition is still available until October 1st. So.
Watch Dogs is no longer available, but I did.
Yeah, Watch Dogs is not available, but Roller Coaster Tycoon is. So jump on that.
Good stuff. All right. Well, now games you got to pay for, unfortunately.
Yep. All right, but that's okay.
So we got video games coming out this week, it's Saturday is when we're recording it, so Monday through next Sunday. We're going to go ahead and start with Spelunky 2. I'm sure many of you have heard of Spelunky originally. It comes out on the 29th. Spelunky 2 builds upon the unique randomized challenges that made the original a roguelike classic, offering a huge adventure designed to satisfy players old and new meet the next generation of explorers as they find themselves on the moon searching for treasure and missing a family. So good to see a Spelunky addition to the family there. Then we have Yumahara Kawase Bazooka. Well, I actually said that a lot easier than I thought I was going to say that. That comes out for PS4 and Switch on November 29th. It becomes esports rubbering battle action in a fixed area. So this kind of looks like a weird Smash Brothers. It also looks very foreign because even the description doesn't make sense in the English language. So it just kind of strikes me as like a Super Smash Brothers, but just different characters and stuff. I'm not sure if these are based off of possibly some anime characters from Japan, etc. That comes out again, PS4 and Switch on the 29th. The Walking Dead Onslaught for PSVR, yep, and PC VR on the 29th. It's exactly what you think it is. It's The Walking Dead in virtual reality. So that one actually might be pretty good. I feel like zombie games have translated well into virtual reality, at least in this generation. So then we have, oh man, I was just telling you about this earlier, Ruffhouse. Baldur's Gate 3. PC, and I don't know why it's on Stadia, but I guess it is. So Baldur's Gate 3 coming out. If you guys don't know Baldur's Gate, then you're probably younger than us. Because Baldur's Gate 2 came out, Jesus, I think in like 99 or 2000 or something. That game was awesome for me growing up. My grandfather actually showed me that game. And he still plays games like this. He's like in his 80s, so go grandpa. Love that he plays video games, but this looks incredible. It's kind of a Diablo-like game in that sense, but definitely going to be picking this one up. Comes out on the 30th for Stadia and PC. Dead by Daylight for Stadia. Joe, it's happening. It's happening.
Stadia is overtaking it, and boom.
I feel like we're getting more Stadia games each week. We're announcing more Stadia games.
Yeah, and I mean, these are games that are not exclusive, though. So these games have been out. Dead by Daylight's been out for a while. Dead by Daylight's making some massive changes, and they're doing some graphical updates and becoming a little bit more polished, which will be fun. I haven't played in a while. I really should get back to it. And honestly, we had fun with that game, Among Us, we could have a lot of fun with that. And we only need 5 people for that. You can have 4 survivors and 1 killer. And it is a ton of fun.
Yeah, and that comes out at some point during September. It's to be determined right now. It looks like it doesn't have a strict date. No Man's Sky Origins is getting an update. I always wanted to get that game, but never really got into it. It seemed like a really good idea, and I know the update made it a lot better. So another update coming sometime in September as well for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Super Mario Bros. 35, which we actually mentioned when we talked about the anniversary in another podcast episode, comes out for Switch Online October 1st. It's basically the anniversary edition where you can play with 35 people. Warsaw is coming out for PS4 on September 29th, Switch on October 1st, and Xbox One on October 2nd. Why there's so many, I don't know. But Warsaw is a challenging World War II turn-based tactical RPG taking place in a war-torn city and sporting beautiful hand-painted graphics. Use everything at your disposal to help a team of accidental heroes survive the onslaught in their home city and overcome tremendous odds stacked against them on the streets of occupied Warsaw in 1944. Honestly, I love the graphics in this. You can tell they're hand painted and they're so unique. And honestly, it gives me kind of a Final Fantasy Tactics feeling back when like on PlayStation, but with the cutscenes. So if anybody played Final Fantasy Tactics, the cutscenes kind of looked hand painted, and that's exactly what all the graphics look like in this game. So it seems pretty cool. Might be worth checking out. Then we have YS Origin for the Switch on October 1st is coming out as well. It's a Japanese ARPG following a devastating demonic invasion. The twin goddesses use their magic to bring the inhabitants of legendary YS safely into the sky, while the demons work to construct Devil's Tower and reach the humans' new abode. The goddesses disappear. So pretty cool storyline for an RPG, good old classic JRPG there. Again, comes out for the Switch on October 1st. Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. We mentioned this before. It's about time this game comes out. Haha, see what I did there? PS4 and Xbox One on October 2nd. And if you don't know what Crash Bandicoot is, well, I feel very, very sad for you. This game was one of the best growing up. Let's Sing Queen. PS4, Xbox One, and Switch on October 2nd. All begins with the first tone. Sing as a solo superstar or perform with your crew and friends to rock every party with the latest version of the singing game, Let's Sing. You can follow the footsteps of cutting-edge artists and perform so many different songs. Never really been into those games personally.
Yeah.
I don't like at all. And then
yeah.
I love Guitar Hero, just not Let's Sing.
Yeah, right.
Star Wars Squadrons, PC, PS4, Xbox One to round out on October 2nd. It looks like the pre-orders go live.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And Star Wars Squadron, yeah, you're starfighters. You're using starfighters to battle people.
There you go.
So.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool stuff this week, and that's going to do it for our podcast.
That it will. And we will see you guys next week, and hopefully things will get better on all these pre-order things, and we'll have more clarity on what's actually going to happen. Not that, I mean, you know what I mean? So whatever the case may be. Anyways, thank you guys. We are done for this week. We will see you next week. And like I said, make sure you're giving us all those positive reviews. Come join us on Facebook, join our Discord, all that fun stuff. And we will see you next week.
Later, everybody.